Picture the Monopoly Man from the classic board game. Now imagine Pikachu from Pokémon. Finally, think of the moment Darth Vader reveals his identity to Luke Skywalker in The Empire Strikes Back. Do you see a monocle on the rich man's face? A black zigzag at the end of Pikachu's tail? Do you hear Vader saying, "Luke, I am your father"? If you pictured any of those, your memory is playing tricks on you. The actual Monopoly mascot has never worn a monocle. Look closely at Pikachu's tail across all this original merchandise. It is completely yellow, without a hint of black at the tip. And when Darth Vader drops his ultimate cinematic bombshell, he actually says, "No, I am your father." You aren't alone if you got all three wrong. Millions of people vividly remember those exact false details. It turns out our brains systematically lie to us, and they do it in perfect sync. In 2009, a paranormal researcher named Fiona Broom uncovered a massive shared delusion. She, along with countless others, vividly remembered news coverage of the South African anti-apartheid activist Nelson Mandela dying in prison during the 1980s. In reality, Mandela served 27 years, was released, became the president of South Africa, and lived out his days as a free man until passing away at age 95 in 2013. We tend to think of memory as a deeply personal vault of our own experiences. But if that's true, why do millions of entirely unconnected people across the globe misremember the exact same historical and cultural details? The answer starts with how we store information. Most of us imagine human memory works like a video camera, passively recording objective reality onto a mental hard drive for us to replay later. It is actually a highly active reconstructive process. When an event happens, your brain breaks it down into distinct pieces: sights, sounds, emotions. When you want to recall that event, your mind has to reassemble those shattered pieces from scratch, and often a few pieces go missing. To save energy and keep things making sense, your brain uses a shortcut called confabulation. It simply generates logical assumptions to fill in the missing gaps, creating a complete picture even if it has to guess a little. Think back to the Monopoly Man. Your brain has a gap in its visual memory of his face, so it sees his top hat, notices his cane, and tailored suit. A monocle perfectly fits our cultural stereotype of a rich capitalist, so the brain just paints one right over the empty space. Experiencing a false memory doesn't mean your brain is failing. Instead, it means your brain is highly efficient, optimizing for speed and logical coherence over perfect pixel-for-pixel accuracy. Because this assembly process happens on the fly, it leaves our internal puzzle highly vulnerable to external suggestions. Psychologists mapped this vulnerability in a famous study known as the DRM paradigm. Researchers asked participants to memorize a list of heavily associated words: bed, night, tired, and dream. When asked to recall the list later, a large portion of the participants confidently remembered seeing the word sleep, a critical lure that logically fit the theme but was never actually present in the data. This same suggestibility scales up into our cultural sharing. If you constantly hear people misquote the evil queen from Snow White as saying, "Mirror, mirror on the wall," instead of the actual script, "Magic mirror on the wall," your brain quietly updates its own puzzle to match the crowd. Human memory operates like a collaborative document. Your personal recollections are constantly being overwritten and edited by the expectations, stereotypes, and vocal repetitions of the culture around you. For most of human history, these cognitive errors stayed localized. Then came the internet, which acted as a massive global amplifier for our biological glitches. Psychologists have documented a bias known as the illusory truth effect. The more times you are exposed to a piece of false information, the more your brain begins to register it as true. Social media and viral memes put this effect into overdrive. They feed millions of connected users the exact same faulty puzzle pieces simultaneously, reinforcing the error with every share, like, and retweet. The Mandela effect represents the inevitable result of our natural cognitive shortcuts colliding head-on with high-speed digital repetition. When confronted with these massive shared errors, it is tempting to look for supernatural explanations. You'll find entire forums dedicated to theories about glitches in the simulation, shifting timelines, or parallel universes bleeding into our own. But we don't need quantum physics to explain why we all misremember Darth Vader. The true culprit is grounded firmly in human biology. Millions of people share the exact same false memories, simply because we are all running on the same beautifully flawed, pattern-seeking hardware. So, the next time you feel absolutely certain about a detail from your past, take a second to question it. What else do you vividly remember that never actually happened? Let us know your most mind-bending false memory in the comments below.